I'm the first person to put my hand up and say that I make the "there's no games on new generation consoles" jokes all the time. And while there's some truth to that, the game selection on PS4 and Xbox One has gotten way better. As a result, here's some games that I reckon are actually worth buying a PS4 to play. Stay tuned in 2 weeks for my Xbox One episode. First up is Towerfall. Oh, how I love Towerfall. And I swear it's not just because I'm crazy competitive and I'm actually fairly good at the game. Okay, it's a little bit because of that. As my favorite of the games whose names end in fall, Towerfall is a great pixel-rific indie game that has you employing tactics, or in my case blind luck, to be the last man standing. You only have a few arrows each, but you can pick up your missed shots along with a whole lot of crazy power-ups, or just use double jumps and wall jumps to stomp on other people's heads, which makes the dead happen. Best served with a side of at least a couple of friends, Towerfall has you cussing and cheering with the best of them in the fast-paced action platforming gameplay. As for why it's worth getting on PS4, the controls feel exceptional, and gathering around a console is the most fun way to play Towerfall. Now, we can't talk about games that would make you want to buy a PS4 without actually talking about ones that are PS4 exclusive. Take, for example, the epicness that is infamous Second Son. Don't pass it off as just another open world game, because I know there's quite a few out there at the moment, but there's a lot about Infamous that really makes it unique. You play as a superhero, which means you have a large variety of different superpowers, a big focus on satisfying close quarters combat, and awesome ways to traverse Seattle, including a smoke dash and a neon run, all of which actually make you feel like a superhero. Second Son also continues with the series' good-evil karma system, which has an impact on your powers and the narrative. Like any good open-world game, it also has a bunch of side activities to keep you busy, but thankfully not enough to wear you out. It should also be said that the game simply looks freaking gorgeous. So gorgeous that Sucker Punch updated the game to include a photo mode, so you can take as many screenshots of your character shooting pink neon bolts in front of epic orange sunsets as you like. A somewhat obvious choice and another PS4 exclusive is side-scroller shoot-'em-up Resogun. Resogun was one of the few seriously solid PS4 launch titles, and pretty much the only game that PS4 early adopters were playing when the system was released. The nostalgic feel of old-school arcade games will probably be the first thing that grabs you, shortly followed by the fast-paced gameplay, and the enemy types and power-ups, which are diverse enough to keep the relatively simple mechanics interesting. Since this one is only available on PS4, there's your fairly obvious reason why this one might be worth buying it for, and the system is leveraged to produce an overwhelming amount of particle and voxel effects. Also sick neon visuals and blowing shit up. One of the lovelier titles to make its way over to the PS4 is Transistor. You can pick this one up on your PC too if you're so inclined, but if you want to kick back on your sofa with an isometric action RPG accented by an enticing soundtrack and gorgeous visuals, you don't need to look any further. Transistor's the sort of game that hooks you at first glance and does a really good job of keeping you invested. The combat is unique and tactical enough that it never feels like mere button mashing. The combat system requires real-time and turn-based mechanics and is supplemented with skill trees and RPG elements that keep your approach to the action your own. Just play it. Seriously, play this one. The PS4 and Xbox One may have started out with a fairly sparse and unimpressive game selection, but it's certainly getting a lot better. Be sure to let me know in that commenting section which PS4 game is your favorite at the moment, and be sure to join me again in 2 weeks where I'll have my Xbox One picks. Last week on The Gist, I talked to you guys about how Watch Dogs may be able to win over Assassin's Creed haters, and here's what you reckoned. AC Conspiracies wanted it noted that he loves the modern day parts of Assassin's Creed, and so do an awful lot of other people. Consider it known, AC Conspiracies. Not all of you were that keen for Watch Dogs, including ex-Paramore Are Awesome, who said Watch Dogs just feels too Ubisofty. Like, it's literally just Assassin's Creed in Hacksaw Future. It's also a lot blander in every aspect, including visuals, than Black Flag as well. Far Cry 3, do more of that, Ubisoft. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Along the same lines and repping my favorite comment of last week, Spartan X169X said Watch Dogs was originally named Assassin's Dogs Auto, but it was too many words. It sounds like a cool game, we'll get it at some point. I would definitely have bought that game. That is it from me this week. Be sure to leave me all of your thoughts and feelings and join me again in 2 weeks after E3 for our next episode.